This week on Most Craved.
Would a Cloverfield by any other name smell as sweet?
Indiana Jones 5, The Search for More Money.
Hey guys, welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Bush with Legion of Leia.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
And I'm William Bibiani with Crave Online. Hey, Indiana Jones 5, officially a thing, 2019. Spielberg and Harrison Ford are coming back. But where the heck is Shia LaBeouf?
Do we need him?
They promised us Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is going to be the thing now.
I think they specifically promised he wouldn't be the thing because he tried to pick up the hat and then Indiana Jones took it away.
So you think at the end of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, they were just like, I know, we made a huge mistake. We are so sorry. We are going to kill Mutt off between movies.
A huge mistake? Many. All of them.
There are significant mistakes in that movie. Some of them I think are bigger deals than others. Aliens. You're telling me aliens are implausible in the Indiana Jones universe? You're telling me that, because I know everyone says that
Monkeys.
They weren't aliens, they were from a different dimension.
Yeah, that's true.
But regardless.
And their real treasure was knowledge.
Exactly, so it's fine.
That movie didn't happen.
You know, I don't even hate Crystal Skull. It has some terrible bits, but like, there's things in it that I like, and I'm really excited for new Indiana Jones. It makes me really depressing to go on Twitter this morning and see all the like cynical comments about it. I'm really happy. Like, I'm really excited there's going to be a new one.
No, if there's a new one and it's good, then I'm on board, because all of them except for that last one that didn't happen were good. So I mean, it's Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones. I love Harrison Ford. I just don't want monkeys. No monkeys. No monkeys and no skulls.
I think a lot of people were cynical about the new Star Wars, and that turned out okay. So you know, that's groovy and everything like that. But there's still this pervasive sense that sequels, reboots, they're just cash-ins, and there's enough of them that still suck. That used to be almost an altruism that sequels suck. Now, not so much, but it's still a danger.
Empire Strikes Back?
I think it's kind of just a stereotype. I think it's something that people just need to get over. I think that there is an interesting way in which we were going to talk about Cloverfield. Cloverfield came out this week, and it wasn't originally called Cloverfield, but the name ended up getting put on the film. So does that change it?
Yes.
It's branding is what it is.
It creates an expectation.
Which could be a good thing.
It's a good thing from a marketing perspective.
I
argue that from the movie, I think it actually gives away what's going on in the film. I think it's crap.
Which, you know, sometimes they use to get people in theaters.
I know, I realize that. The studios are looking at it in terms of how do we get butts in theaters. That's not my job. I have no vested interest in that, and no one in the audience should care about how much money a movie makes, as long as it makes enough money to get a sequel you want, assuming that's even true. For me, it's all about the story. It's all about the characters. It's all about what's going on in the film. That's what lasts long after the opening weekend numbers are a footnote in history. So I don't care if it's called 10 Cloverfield Lane. The studio does.
But doesn't
I care that it's good.
Change how you go in to watch it?
Yes, absolutely it does. And in the case of 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think it ruined an otherwise good film.
Well, okay, now I haven't seen it yet, but I have an idea of what it's going to be and whether or not I want to see it from the name.
Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately for me, the first thing I thought of is shaky cam, which is, you know.
And that's not even true. It creates an expectation that the movie
I'm glad to hear that.
Isn't even going to, you know, people are talking about, oh, what a novel idea. We're just going to throw Cloverfield onto the name of movies that may or may not even be related to the original story.
It's a romantic comedy.
What a clever idea. It's called Tales from the Crypt Presents, and we did it 20 years ago. And
Halloween 3 was the same thing.
Yeah.
They tried, yeah. By that point, they had already established a connection between the sequels. It was too late.
Well, two of them. But I mean, like, 3 is a beloved film.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like, ultimately,
it had to be reassessed. At the time, it was a flop.
I liked it at the time.
Did you really?
I did.
Good for you.
Woo.
It's awesome. Ahead of that curve.
Thanks.
It's awesome.
I think it's interesting we're living in a point where Ghostbusters is coming out. And Ghostbusters is called Ghostbusters, and it has a lot of the same traits as Ghostbusters. It's a different universe, which is weird to go back to the original Ghostbusters, which was called Ghostbusters and had nothing to do with another Ghostbusters that already existed.
Yeah, and then we have animated Ghostbusters.
Which may or may not have anything to do with the new movies.
Right. And although I have to say, in the trailer, they did sort of, even though they're talking about, hey, there was another Ghostbusters movie that did really well, it did sort of give the impression for people who maybe aren't as steeped in this that it might be connected.
That was really confusing because nothing else in the trailer implies
Well, Slimer.
that there's a connection. Slimer, but he's just
I'm
a
kidding,
recurring
I know.
character. But yeah, no, exactly. It's confusing sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's difficult to tell. Like, ask a person on the street the difference between a remake, a reboot, and a soft reboot.
I think it's fascinating that we have a year where Deadpool can come out, and Deadpool can be a huge movie, and people know it's a Marvel movie, and yet they also know that it's not set in the same fictional universe as a number of other Marvel films. People in the general public are able to make these this differentiation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that partially that might have to do with, like, we know Marvel's film and TV universe are connected. We know that DC is not, or maybe might be, but, you know, you sort of get an idea of, like, having the same universe that are, you know, with different versions of the same universe. I made sense.
And you're dressed as Spider-Gwen, which is another
is true.
good example.
Thank you.
But what I'm waiting for is the idea that we're going to have characters existing in and out of the universe at the same time. For example, Sony, they still have Spider-Man. They are basically lending Spider-Man out to Marvel Studios and sharing in Marvel's upcoming Spider-Man reboot. Sony is also doing an animated Spider-Man movie that may or may not have anything to do with that, and they're just now working on a Venom movie which won't have anything to do with Spider-Man, because that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, I guess with comic book movies, you kind of can do that. Because, I mean, if you look at the comic book universe, you've got the same character retconned a zillion times in different timelines, in different universes, so.
But that's not something we've played with a lot in motion pictures. That's something DC is actually doing now with their TV and their movie universes, and we'll see how well that plays once. For a while, there actually isn't going to be any overlap. It's once the Flash comes
The Flash,
out.
I think, is going to be the
That's-
one that's going to tell.
That's when they're going to find out, does it matter? Is it confusing at all? Do people care? And can people keep it straight if they want to?
I think there's a core. I mean, Spider-Gwen in
Yeah.
many ways is the same as female Ghostbusters. It's another world. It's not
Yep.
necessarily connected, and yet in the grand scheme of everything, it's out there. And Ghostbusters has crossing over between dimensions. A lot of the ghosts come from other dimensions. They recently did a comic book miniseries where the animated real Ghostbusters cross over with the ongoing
Which
Ghostbusters
is
comic.
Was it better than the Turtles Forever crossover, where the new cool Turtles met the old extremely lame Turtles?
You know, I like that Turtles is as good with that. Turtles has been rebooted time and again,
Yeah.
and it has maintained a bigger sense of crossing over with things that may not exist anymore, or older iterations.
Yeah.
And that's where I think branding becomes interesting, because Spider-Gwen is Spider-Man, but a whole different take. You meanwhile have, if you're going to sit down and you know Spider-Gwen is a Spider-Man comic, you know what you're going to get because you know Spider-Man as a brand.
Yep.
Theoretically, same thing with Ghostbusters. Cloverfield is, I think, if anything, is kind of like the Twilight Zone, is this thing they're trying to do where you're not sure what you're going to get if you go see a Cloverfield movie. And I don't know, having seen both movies, if they even are connected. They might be.
There's a brand. There's a fictional brand that appears in both movies.
Well, Slusho appears,
Slusho.
but
Yeah.
Slusho appears in Star Trek.
Yep.
So,
So they're also connected.
well, but not
aliens are real in
necessarily,
Star Trek.
Because if I go to the Marvel Universe, I might be able to get a Big Mac, but that doesn't mean it's the same continuity.
Right,
But if
right.
it's fiction, okay. But if you can go up to Shield headquarters, yeah, it does.
But I can
That's
go to
fictional.
SHIELD headquarters in the 616 continuity. I can go in the Ultimate continuity. I can go in 2099. They're infinite diversity and infinite combination.
Yeah, you'll see probably many of the same little things within the Flash movie and the Flash TV show, just different Flash. So-
Okay. I will grant you that. Here's my thing, though. Do you think we're ever going to use Indiana Jones as that brand, or because it's a nostalgia property, it will always be Harrison Ford, and we'll never get? It's not going to be Chris Pratt. It's not like it's not going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm sure 20 years from now they'll reboot it. They'll try. I mean, they're trying to do young Han Solo, so they're trying to recast Harrison Ford there. So, I mean,
And like, to be fair, Indiana Jones has been recast
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
We've seen multiple. Sean Patrick Flannery played him in Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. River Phoenix played him in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. We had the 90-year-old Indiana Jones. there's this stage show at Disneyland. It happens, and people do pay money to see an Indiana Jones that isn't Harrison Ford
Yep.
because of that Indiana Jones name.
Although I'll bet you anything that TV show gets retconned out of continuity now that Disney is in charge. Because they want to keep it simple and pure.
You know, one of the things I liked about Star Wars was the Han Solo line of "It's all true," because
Yeah.
it is. None of it. It's Alan Moore in Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow
Yeah.
says this is an imaginary story, aren't they all?
Yep.
Yeah.
You decide what's canon.
Yeah.
A company doesn't get to tell you that didn't happen anymore. None of it happened.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So my defense of the Ewok movie stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, people still read all the EU stuff for extended universe stuff for Star Wars and believe that it's part of the story. So you can, and that sort of mythology of the Star Wars universe now. So.
All right. I think my last question is: do we think Harrison Ford is going back to all of his old franchises so we can kill off all of his old characters? Is there going to be like a Working Girl, The Quickening?
Is it wrong that I would watch that?
I would totally watch that. Are you kidding me? He's great in Working Girl.
I would like a Reverse Witness where maybe he's like frozen or something, and he wakes up in like a super technical world that he doesn't understand.
Yeah. Oh, and
I would watch that too.
We got Blade Runner coming up as well. Yeah, I think we're in for a Harrison Ford Holocaust, a Holocaust.
Speaking of that, we have Alien Covenant, which is a sequel to Prometheus, but now they're realizing that the alien as a brand is a thing that helps bring people in.
Yeah. You think? That was hard?
I don't know.
Wow.
It's on the one hand, it's really cool because it does identify things. It makes a shorthand. I think in a lot of ways, like things that are in our pop culture right now
get the universe.
become these things that are relatable across language barriers. On the other hand, there is something that's very similar to like McDonald's again slapping Mick before a sandwich. Like the branding has the potential to be very, very negative. It has the potential to be really cool. And in the case of Cloverfield, I thought it was really neat.
I'm excited to see it, especially because there's no shaky cam.
I did not care for it. Hey, everybody, franchises, neat, right? Tweet us at Thingy and tell us about those stuff. And Indiana Jones 5, cool, huh? Tweet us. Yeah.